Meet her in palaces and back alleys, ancient cities, and the distant future. Alyx owed her life to the trans-temporal military authority. Fishing in the past one day, the authority saved her from gruesome death at the hands of a furious prince of Tyre, from whom she had stolen a certain valuable item. Alyx turned out to be rather valuable herself. She had various talents as a conjurer, assassin, thief. That made her suitable for trans-temp work. Their slogan was, "A talent for every need," and Alyx met some unusual needs. The Adventures of Alyx. So I've previously described how 4 people from our community jumped into a portal that opened in the side of our library, where they disappeared. These 4 had been taking a class on the arts of the warrior and the mage at the community center. At the time, we did not know what to expect of the blurring, which is what we in town call this time of strange events, which started several months ago. I suppose we still don't know what to expect of the blurring, but we don't get quite so surprised anymore when strange things happen. I mentioned in a previous video that one of these 4 returned, Bert, but not for long, as he was called back to the realm he had escaped. The other 3, Carla, Lou, and Sally, were presumed lost forever. Now, however, Sally and Lou have returned, although they have changed both in appearance and disposition. Sally, previously hard-nosed and frankly a bit mean, laughs often now as she regales us with stories we could hardly credit, if not for her warrior's pose or the proof in the sparkling items she pulls from a seemingly bottomless leather case she wears on one hip. Lou, always a bit of a dreamer, sits quietly beside Sally, clearly the sidekick in their adventures, although he does seem to have gained some talent for prestidigitation or card tricks, which he performs with a soft smile as watching children gasp. Sally says he can also call forth marvels from the ground or the air, but that wouldn't do here in town. They have returned, they say, because there is a powerful artifact in our town, left here many millions of years ago by nomadic aliens who camped on this land for a few hundred years. The artifact was lost somehow. Apparently there is some truth to Lovecraft's notion of elder gods, because these aliens, unnamed and unknown now, moved on in a hurry, chased off by something vastly more powerful than themselves. The artifact is recalled in a certain scroll formerly held in the labyrinthine library of Canthnar, where ancient texts in any shape or form, whether scroll, codex, floppy disk, lidnip, or any other medium, are held by the Canthnar librarians, stored so that they should be impossible to find intentionally by any but these librarians. A thief stumbled across the scroll quite by accident. He didn't know what he had taken when he stole it. And he never learned. He was tracked by the Canthnar librarians to Grugost and slain gruesomely, but not before he had passed the scroll on. The scroll passed from hand to hand, seemingly impossible to translate, across vast distances and times, although time is not the same elsewhere as it is here, so it would be hard to say now whether the scroll was stolen long, long ago or sometime in the future. Sally acquired the scroll seemingly by accident as the result of a wager, rolling dice beneath the walls of a city that has since been destroyed. She had been a soldier in the besieging force, and, to be honest, she didn't care at first about the scroll at all. She had been rolling dice just to pass the time. Her opponent had lost everything else. His final wager was a ring given to him by his Argath, a cloak said to have magical properties, but worn primarily for its warmth on cold days, and the scroll, of course, rolled up and carried in a leather tube made from the skin of a blue gnar. After winning, Sally tried on the ring, but it was too big. She thought about trying on the cloak, but it smelled bad. She didn't even bother looking at the scroll. She passed the whole bundle on to Lou, who had been a cook and a sometime weather mage in the same besieging force. He still wears the cloak, and it still smells pretty bad. He gave the ring to an old hag. "No, seriously," he says. "She was totally an old hag, like in the fairy tales." and he threw the scroll case into his backpack where he forgot about it until recently. When he finally looked at the scroll, he saw it was written in English, which surprised him because English is a language one never encounters among the other worlds. There was a short statement on the scroll about the nomadic aliens, the location of the artifact, and a very brief description of where it could be found. On Blackwood Hill in the town of Stone's Way, in the last days of the combustion engine, before the Kaina and the red-killing clouds, among the lost worlds. There was also a map fragment pasted to the scroll, like any road map one could buy at a gas station now, which convinced Lou beyond a shadow of a doubt that the location of the artifact was indeed here, in his old hometown, of all places. Of course, we asked what is meant by those words about the Kaina and the red-killing clouds, but Lou shrugs and looks away. He says, "Oh, that's just something people sometimes say, like once upon a time. Don't worry about it." But he doesn't sound all that convincing to me. Sally and Lou have only been in town a few days, but they seem to be in a hurry. They grow increasingly urgent. They carry a special device, a kind of divining stone or tracking device, but they are having trouble locating the exact position of the artifact, somewhere up on the old campus of Blackwood College, which has been closed for several decades now. Each day they walk into the woods at the foot of Blackwood Hill, and each night they return to town exhausted and ravenous. They order mountains of food at Sal's, our local diner. Finally, just last night, we learned why they haven't been able to find the artifact yet. They've become convinced there is a powerful mage on Blackwood Hill. He or she or it blocks their own magics easily, and it's as if there is a loop of trails on the hill which go on and on forever, endlessly up, but nowhere nearer to the top of the hill, although it's easy to walk down from the hill and back into town. They ask us to tell them what we know, but we don't know anything. We are dumbfounded. A mage here in Stone's Way? But that's not possible, is it? And anyway, it seems we may not learn anything else, at least not from Sally or Lou. Last night, while we were all gathered at Sal's, there was suddenly a vast rumbling in the air. It seemed to shake my every molecule. Sally and Lou looked at each other wide-eyed. They had barely enough time to speak. "It's the librarians! Come for the scroll! We must away!" We didn't hear anything more. Sally had taken another object from her pouch, seemingly identical to her divining stone except for its color. She said something we didn't hear, and then they were gone. Just like that. And then, a few seconds later, the loud rumbling was gone too. We don't know if or when they'll ever come back. A few of us considered going up to Blackwood Hill to try to find out what they were talking about, but we lost interest. There's nothing up there but old, empty buildings, and we'd almost certainly never find the artifact without a divining stone anyway. So that's that.